Most lives today aren't destroyed by failure, they're drowned in noise. Think about it. How many hours have you already lost scrolling, chasing updates, filling silence with distractions? And what dreams of yours have been buried under the endless sound of everyone else's voices? Noise doesn't just steal your attention, it steals your future. Because while you're busy watching, comparing, and consuming, life is slipping quietly past you. But here's the twist. Sometimes it takes silence to hear the truth. This is the story of Liam, a young man who thought he was living fully, until a wise mentor revealed how noise was stealing his destiny. Liam was 20, energetic, always moving, always busy. If you saw him from the outside, you'd think he was thriving. Music blasting in his headphones, phone buzzing in his hand, a calendar full of tasks and reminders. To everyone else, Liam looked unstoppable. But there was one problem. He mistook busyness for progress. Every spare second was crammed with something. If silence tried to creep in, he smothered it with noise. Songs, podcasts, group chats, endless scrolling. It wasn't that he hated quiet. It was that quiet made him feel exposed. It forced him to hear the questions he was afraid to answer. And slowly, the consequences began to surface. His grades slipped, though he kept telling himself, "I'm working hard, I'm just tired." But the truth was, hours lost in distraction weren't the same as hours invested in focus. His friendships grew shallow. He was always around, yet never present. Conversations turned into background chatter, constant noise with no real depth. Even his health started to show cracks. Late nights, no rest, a body overstimulated but undernourished. He called it energy. In reality, it was exhaustion wearing a mask. And inside, buried beneath all the activity, was an emptiness he couldn't shake. But instead of facing it, Liam turned the volume up even louder. He drowned the silence with distractions, hoping it would go away. Have you ever done the same? Have you ever been so busy that, at the end of the day, you realize you achieved nothing that truly mattered? Because Liam's life was just like a jar filled with sand. Every grain of noise, every fragment of distraction packed tightly. And with the jar already full, there was no space left for the stones that actually mattered. But here's the twist. One day, an encounter Liam never expected forced him to stop. For the first time in years, he had to face the silence he'd been running from. The turning point came when Liam's professor suggested he visit a nearby monastery for a weekend retreat. At first, Liam laughed. Me? In silence? Impossible. But something in him, maybe the exhaustion, maybe the emptiness, agreed to try. That's where he met the old monk. In the middle of a quiet garden, the monk welcomed Liam with nothing more than a gentle nod. No phone, no headphones, no distractions, just silence. It felt unbearable. Liam fidgeted, his mind racing for escape. Then the monk placed a glass jar on the table. Beside it, he set several large stones and a bowl of fine sand. "Fill it," he said simply. Relieved at having something to do, Liam grabbed the sand first and poured it into the jar. The grains slipped in smoothly, filling it to the halfway point. Then he tried placing the stones inside. But they wouldn't fit. No matter how he twisted or pushed, there wasn't enough room. The monk quietly emptied the jar. This time he placed the stones inside first, 1, 2, 3, each settling firmly. Then he poured the sand. It slipped between the gaps, filling every space, yet leaving the stones secure. He looked at Liam. "So, the jar holds more this way?" Liam asked. The monk shook his head. "No, the jar doesn't hold more. The jar is your life. When you fill it with sand first, the noise, the distractions, there's no room left for the stones that matter. But when you place the important stones first, your family, your health, your purpose, there is always space for the rest." The word struck Liam harder than he expected. He thought about his days, crammed with noise, but missing the things he truly valued. Then the monk told him a story. "Once there was a king," he said softly, "who filled his palace with music, laughter, and endless feasts. His halls were never silent, his nights never still. And yet, when he grew old, he confessed with tears, 'I surrounded myself with noise, but I forgot wisdom. I forgot love. I forgot the stones that mattered.' And so he died unfulfilled." The garden fell quiet again. Liam stared at the jar, at the stones he had ignored. For the first time, he understood. Noise hadn't been helping him live. It had been stealing the space his true priorities needed. And now, a question hung heavy in the air. One not from the monk, but from life itself. If your life was this jar, what stones would you choose first? And what noise would you finally let go of? The very next morning, Liam did something he hadn't done in years. He woke up and didn't reach for his phone. For the first time, he let the silence settle. At first it felt strange, even uncomfortable. But slowly, he realized the quiet wasn't empty. It was full. Full of thoughts he had ignored. Full of space he had buried under endless noise. That day, he made a decision. Instead of chasing distractions, he began placing his priorities like stones in a jar. First came his studies. He scheduled blocks of focused time before he allowed himself any scrolling, any entertainment. Slowly, his grades began to climb back. Then came his relationships. Instead of shallow chatter, he asked deeper questions. He listened more. Conversations stopped being background noise and started becoming real connections. His friends noticed. "You feel different, Liam. Calmer," one of them said. Every morning, he returned to the monastery garden. He would sit in stillness, sometimes with the old monk, sometimes alone. And in that silence, he began to hear something he had long silenced: his own heart. The noise no longer defined him. It no longer stole the stones that mattered. His life transformed. His grades recovered. His friendships deepened. He felt stronger, clearer, more purposeful. And the silence he once feared? It became his greatest source of strength. Because silence, he realized, wasn't the absence of life. It was the space that gave life its shape. And now I'll ask you, what would your life look like if you removed the noise? If you stopped cramming your jar with distractions and gave space to the stones that truly matter? The truth is simple. Life isn't about filling every moment. It's about choosing what deserves space. Liam discovered what many never learn. Noise can fill your days, but only priorities can build your life. For years, he thought constant activity meant progress. But the truth was simple. He was mistaking movement for meaning. It wasn't until he learned to place the stones first, his studies, his health, his relationships, his purpose, that everything else finally found its place. Because time is like a clock. You can waste it listening to noise, or you can invest it in what matters. But the hands never stop moving. Every tick is a choice. Every second is a stone placed, or a stone lost. So let me ask you, what noise is stealing space in your life right now? And which stone will you place first tomorrow morning? If you're ready to silence the noise and choose your priorities, comment "stones" below. Share this video with someone drowning in busyness. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that bring clarity, direction, and meaning to your life, because your jar will be filled either way. The question is, with what?